builders, married entrepreneurs, what is happening? Come on into the virtual building, the room, I should say. Come on in.
Welcome to our space.
Welcome to our space. So, for those of you who may be joining us for the very first time, real quick intro for you.
What's up? I am O.L. Buckley.
And I'm Sway Buckley.
Host of Marriedpreneurs, the podcast, as well as Marriedpreneur Strategist.
Yes, we are here to help married entrepreneurs to launch, grow, and scale their businesses together, and doing that in a way that is purposeful, powerful, and profitable. Amen to that. So real quick. So today's our Legacy Live. We do this every single week for the most part. We come in at 12 noon EST, drop in golden nuggets specifically for faith-based married entrepreneurs who are building and growing, launching their businesses together. Whether you are working a 9 to 5 and maybe you're wanting to transition to your business full-time, or maybe you're already in your business full-time and you just need some strategies to grow together as you're building, then you're absolutely in the right place. And sometimes people say, well, what exactly is like a marriedpreneur? And what we've realized over the years, 10 years of building businesses on a full-time basis, building our own businesses and building businesses together, we've realized that there are 3 types of marriedpreneurs, okay?
Yes, so you have the spousalpreneur.
Spousalpreneur.
That's where one of you is working the business and the other may be working a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And you may be looking to transition from the 9 to 5, but nonetheless, that's the spousalpreneur. Then there's the indiepreneur. That's where the two of you are building separate business separately. And then the couplepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
That's where both of you are building the same business together.
Oh, you waited for me to say it? Sorry. Yeah, so you have the spousal, the indie, and couplepreneur. So who are you? Are you a spousal? If you're a spousalpreneur, go ahead and drop an S in the comments. If you're an indiepreneur couple, then go ahead and drop an I in the comments so we just know who's in the room. And then if you're a couplepreneur, drop a C in the comments. Now, here's the thing. You may be a combination of those, and that's totally cool. You may be in transition. You know, we started off.
We've been all 3.
Yes, when we first got married,
spousal.
we were starting as spousal.
And now we're 2 of the 3.
But then we went to indie, which we still are, and then couple. So, yeah.
Couple, right.
So, seasons change, but let us know who you are. We want to know all about that. If you're a spousalpreneur, drop an S. An indiepreneur, drop an I. Or a couplepreneur. Hey, Camlin. Good to see you. Are you in the islands? You in the islands, my sister? So good to see you in here.
She's an S and a C.
Oh, S and a C in the
for real?
House. Yes. Okay. So that's some serious business. I'm so glad you're here. So here's the thing. Real quick housekeeping. Also, we're on a couple different platforms. If you're on a platform where you can tag another marriedpreneur to let them know about these goods, do that. You can, or if you're in a platform where you can share it, press share, you can do that, such as like Facebook as well. You can do that on IG. You can't do that just yet. Okay. Quick updates for you all before we dive into today's, because all we're talking about today is growing your clientele in 5 days, your business clientele in 5 days. And so we're going to walk you through on how you can do that and the advantages as a married entrepreneur and how to actually use that to your advantage. But real quick, we mentioned earlier, Marriedpreneur Life podcast. We are the co-host of that this week's episode. This week's, actually it was last week's, but it's the latest episode. The latest episode is all about your sales offer and understanding how to craft that, regardless of what, indie spouse or couplepreneur, regardless of your nonprofit or for-profit, you have an offer. And if your sales offer is not tight, you will know based on how people respond to it. Okay, so what we're doing on this week, I really like to call it a class. It's a training class, a free training class on the Marriedpreneur Life podcast. Check that out if you are trying to figure out what does your offer need to be, or if you need to tighten it up, or how can you improve it, because ultimately that is going to increase the number of people that you're able to impact through your sales. Okay, so there's that. It's all for you right there. Now, for other thing I want to share before we dive into today's training is, if you and your spouse are seeking to really get on the same page, whether you're spousal, indie, or couplepreneur, and growing your businesses, legacy, all that stuff together, and you're trying to figure out a system or systems to understand how to do it, you're definitely in the right place. What we didn't mention earlier is that we are also the co-creators of the Marriedpreneur operating system.
That's right.
And so we have a free gift for you if you are one of those who were like, we need some systems in our lives. Well, we got some systems for your lives. Okay. You can go ahead and drop the word systems
right there in the comment. Just type it and drop it.
Type it and drop it. Type it and drop. And then we will get or you can drop it in the comments, or you can send it to us in the DMs. It doesn't matter. We'll see it. Now, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and send you our free training, systems training, Marriedpreneur operating systems training. Because listen, you can only build as far and go as far as your systems allow, and your systems determine your capacity. They will increase your capacity, or broken systems will absolutely decrease your capacity in order to do your business, especially as you all are transitioning. Some of you may be from the 9-to-5 or growing from one business to another business. You got to have your systems in place. And it doesn't matter what the industry is. It doesn't matter how long you've been married. We actually started helping couples. Couples started coming to us as they were engaged. And their engaged area of life. And so we were like, well, this is good, because as you go into marriage, you're going to want to have these systems in place. And then we have other couples who've been married for like over 20 years. And they're like, we don't have no systems. We need some systems in place. And so we're like, okay, we're going to get you together as well with your system. So this is the first step, we would say, with any kind of level of working with us. Go ahead and put the systems. We see some systems there. You can take a screenshot and we'll get that over to you all for sure. And also, and hopefully we don't miss anybody. If you don't hear from us within 24 hours, go ahead and send us a DM and just say systems, and we'll get that link over to you, and making sure that you have your downloads that you want, so you can start implementing those systems like right away. Okay, into the business of today.
That's right. Grow your clientele as Marriedpreneurs in 5 days.
5 days. How? 5 days. Listen, it does not take a lot of footwork to see your needle, the business needle move.
That's right.
But what it does require is the right kind of work and the right kind of focus. And the thing is, as married entrepreneurs, there are many advantages that are often overlooked. And if you overlook an advantage that you have as a marriedpreneur, what happens is that you end up working harder and in a way that is not necessary.
That's right. So to start, number one.
Okay. Yes. I'm going to say the title one more time.
Go ahead.
How to grow your business, or how to grow your clientele in 5 days as a marriedpreneur. I just want to make sure we're clear, because this is about to be real good. So,
all right, so to start, it comes down to
number one,
which is having an entrepreneur mindset versus having an employee mindset. And I want to say this because I had both. I want to say what they look like. So an entrepreneur mindset, well, let me start off with the employee. The employee mindset is more of a mindset that says the success of the business is not my responsibility. Only my role may be my responsibility. And so it's very tunnel vision and very self-focused on what's your role. It's not thinking about pushing the business and driving it forward. The entrepreneur mindset, and let me also say this, oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes, the employee mindset is, I'm not going to think or help to think of a solution. I'm just going to wait to hear the solution, and then I'll take the order and carry it out. And so what happens is, in the employee mindset, there's a suppression of creativity. There's a suppression of being solution-minded versus.
Can I say something real quick about that? Real fast. Now, what we're not saying is that you can't be an employee.
Exactly.
And not have an employee mindset. What we're saying is that you can be an employee and have an entrepreneurial mindset. So there's nothing, if that's where you are and that's your jam, you may be like, no, this is where God has me. He's using this as a revenue stream. Well, amen to that. But here's the thing. Let's look at your mindset, because clearly you're here and you're watching this for a reason. There's more, and that that there's more, and you want to have that. And so this is going to be the first step of understanding that. So it's no slight or anything for those who may be in a 9-to-5 at all. I want to say that.
And I appreciate you saying that.
Thank you.
Before we pivot to the entrepreneur mindset, let me make one more point about the employee mindset, about what is possible, to the point that you just made. You can have the employee position, but have the entrepreneur mindset in the employee position. And when you have that entrepreneur mindset in a employee position or during an employee season of your life, you will seek to exceed what is expected of you in that role. And that's bringing an entrepreneur mindset that says, I'm going to blow this role up. And I mean it in a good way. I'm going to blow it up positively to the benefit of the business. Now, the entrepreneur mindset, well, it is just that. It's being solution minded, and it is seeking to serve your market on the highest and next level. And so the entrepreneur mindset is solution oriented. It's always one of the questions that you often ask: how can we serve them better? How can we do this better? And having that approach is how entrepreneurs really create, how they invent, how they meet the needs of their ideal clients. And it's evident and obvious to the market as well as to their team.
Absolutely. And, that is I would say the secret sauce, the word, is how you're thinking about it, because it doesn't matter. We can come on here and give you all the tools all day. But if your mindset is one who cannot comprehend it or chooses not to comprehend it, then it doesn't matter like anything else that we share, which is why we start off with mindset. It's always going to be about mindset first and foremost. So, and that requires a different version of who you are. It requires some personal development to work on yourself, to be mindful of how you're thinking about yourself and be mindful of how you're thinking about the day, be mindful of how you are thinking about what's made available to you, and not to overlook all that is ready for you to take on and really make a difference in. Because oftentimes what happens if you are in an employee mindset, as an employee, totally fine. But as the mindset of it, what happens is you can easily get in a rut and get in this, they call it a rat race. And you get so caught up in doing the day to day, day after day, and day after day, that you don't even realize, like you're not even aware that you're caught up in this race of just doing the next thing, or what's next. And that's actually what you're chasing after, the next thing. Maybe it's on your list or whatever you have to do next, versus actually taking time and stepping back to see, okay, what are we really doing and what are we truly building and how can we do this better? And there's always going to be some kind of challenge, right? There's always going to be some type of roadblock or hurdle. And it's on us to say, how are we going to respond to this? Versus saying, you know what, this is not possible. I can't do this. I can't, like just using these words. And even if you don't say it, if you're thinking it and it's in your heart, you're going to respond in that way. And so it's really important just a quick little shift is just using the word how. So instead of like, I can't do this, or I don't know how this is going to happen, you don't have to know. That's not up to you to know. But what you do want to ask is like, how can I learn this skill? Or how can I shift this to serve in this way? Or how can I create this opportunity? Because then what you're doing is you're giving your mindset, your brain even, an opportunity to do what it's created to do, which is to create, and to create solutions to the problems, first and foremost, to your own problems before you can even help other people. But you're going to have to make sure that you have that mindset and really understanding that it is the foundation and the bedrock for you all's growth. So yes, building your clientele, growing your clientele in a week is possible. But first and foremost, you got to get the mindset together. So I just want to do that soapbox real quick.
Yeah, I would just say this about the mindset. Sometimes the mindset develops and comes as you're building.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it just gets better and better. So it's not perfection before performance.
Oh, that's good.
It is
so good.
It is perfection in process.
Yeah.
If you will. And I put air quotes perfection. It's not like we ever ultimately achieve perfection, but we do get better and better as we go through the process. So it's just putting yourself in position to go through the process, and when to go through the process, and then giving yourself permission to think through the process, that then you become more entrepreneurial or solution minded in your building. So
I was going to say, before we go to the next thing, I don't know if you're about to do that.
Well, I was going to say this. It's also, it's probably what you were going to say. You want to talk about accountability?
Well, I was going to say, how it ties in as Marriedpreneurs. Well, yeah. So here's the thing. We're not just talking about business insights. That's part of it. But really the thing that makes all of this really unique and different and special is that you're married entrepreneurs. And so how can you take advantage of this? Whether you're spousal, indie, or couplepreneurs, there are ways that you can take advantage of this in unique ways that are not available to those who in this way who are not married. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about mindset. Holding each other accountable with your mindset is critical.
Yeah. That's
all you want to say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So each of these steps, we're going to dive into just a little bit of insight of how you can take advantage of this as married entrepreneurs. So it doesn't matter, like I said, if both of you are not in the same business or one of you is the entrepreneur in the family and the other is supporting, it doesn't matter because you're building the same legacy, but you need to be able to say, okay, how are we building this legacy and holding each other accountable in this? Okay, so that's number one. So if you can drop number one, drop mindset in the comments, because that's the first thing, mindset. And then let's go to the second step of growing your business clientele in 5 days as married entrepreneurs. The second step.
Number 2, know your plan, know your process. You need to first, and this is something that we have to challenge ourselves on continuously, is knowing what is our plan rather than jumping onto the field and just doing things. And then here's the thing, when you jump into the field and you start doing things, then you expect to have results. That's expectations without plans is a setup for disappointment. The quickest way to be disappointed as marriedpreneurs in business is to go out there without a plan, without a process. And let me say this, because those two are connected, but they are distinct. A plan is not a process. It is an objective-oriented approach. A process is how is that plan going to be carried out? And so it'll have things like, timelines and markers, mile markers for success and progress and things like that. Also, who's going to play what role, who's going to be doing what, who are the players on the field between the two of you, i.e., and even your team members. And so having a plan and having a process is going to set yourself up for those desired results and objectives. And that's what we as marriedpreneurs want to approach, or how we want to approach this. And by the way, that's what an entrepreneur mindset is going to do. Is going to think through a plan and establish a process.
And with that, this really ties into marketing. And that doesn't mean you have to be a marketing guru. That doesn't mean you have to be a marketing expert. That doesn't mean you have to have a background in marketing. It doesn't mean any of these things. But what it does mean is that you are clear on the path that you're going to take right now. And I want to say that because there are so many ways to win. There's more than one way to win. There is more than one way to win. I want to say that again. There is more than one way to win. And if you focus on what so-and-so is doing over here on IG and what so-and-so over here is doing on Instagram and what so-and-so is doing on LinkedIn or on Pinterest or media, whatever these things are, there's more than one way to win. Okay. And so if you start saying, squirrel, let me go do this, let me go learn this, let me da-da-da-da, that's too much. And what you're going to find out yourself doing is just running yourself ragged. And you end up drained and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, what's going on? And I'm doing all the things, but you're really not doing it long enough to go deep enough with it to actually see the results. So you want to pick your plan and then pick your process and you build that together. Okay, you build that together. And as you're building that together, you will see results. It does not take a lot for you to see results. Okay, it does not take a lot. And sometimes we can speak craziness to ourselves thinking like, oh, it's going to take, all of this. And I don't have all of this. This is what I don't have. It's not about what you don't have. It's what you do have. So you start with what you do have and then to grow into that. And then you grow into what then you will have. Okay. So you start there and you don't have to wait. As you mentioned earlier, it's not perfection before process. You just performance. Yeah. The process works. But yeah, performance is what we're talking about. Performance. It's not perfection before performance. It's about like, what do you have in your hands right now? That's what you're accountable for, right? That's what you're called to do. So when it comes to as marriedpreneurs, and we're talking about the second area we're talking about is have your plan and your process. Y'all can drop that in the comments too for those who may be coming in late so they can get it. Know your plan and your process. Okay. When we're talking about this, once again, as marriedpreneurs, the advantage is being able to use the relationship, even if you're not in the same business. I'm going to say that again. Even if you're not in the same business, being able to use your marriage as a way to plan out to speak through, to speak on how your plan will be, how will your process be. And when I say keep it simple, I mean keep it simple. Just because it's complex does not mean that it's gonna work. Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to be sophisticated to be significant. And sometimes we try to seek sophisticated processes because we think sophistication means it's going to be significant. But it can be simple and be significant. And let me say this too about the advantages being marriedpreneurs now. My guess is,
what's your guess?
This is my guess.
What's your guess?
Is that you and your spouse are different.
Really?
That's my guess.
That's your guess.
And if that's the case, then that difference gives you all an advantage because you're going to have differing perspectives.
Yes.
And the best plans are produced from different perspectives and points of view. And so when you take the best of the two, it's not drawing from your genius, it's drawing from your collective genius.
Yeah. And when we're talking about building a plan and a process and doing it together, there is such a thing as blind spots. And so when we come to the table with different perspectives, what happens is I'm able to see some blind spots that maybe you didn't see. And then you're able to see some blind spots that I didn't see. And then we take both of our perspectives together. Y'all, what?
This happens when one of you is driving and you're trying to get over and you have a blind spot. And the person in the passenger seat looks and says, okay, now you got it. Or after this car, you're clear.
Like when you're backing up.
Yep.
And then you're like looking on one side because you can only, that passenger can see it.
Yeah.
Like, listen, like use each other's.
Leverage the passenger.
Leverage.
Whoever's driving, leverage the passenger.
Leverage your passenger. Touch your neighbor, say leverage the passenger.
Telling you.
Yes. Leverage the passenger. So that's the second point we're talking about. For those of you who are coming in, joining us, welcome. We're talking about growing your business or growing your clientele in as little as 5 days. And so these are the steps that are necessary to do this. So we've gone over the first two. Now we're going over the third step. We kind of tapped into it a little bit. You want to go into it?
Number 3,
take advantage of these.
All about wealth roles.
Take advantage.
And so you want to, again, benefit from the differences, take advantage of the differences of the two of you. So these wealth roles has everything to do with the right person being in the right position. And the right person means between the two of you, it can mean this. It's not limited to this, but because it can also include other team members or part of your business. But it's about the two of you doing what both of you are best suited to do. It's not a good idea to put somebody who is not best suited for, let's say, client services or client interaction. That's just not them. Maybe they're more technical in nature. It wouldn't be good to take somebody who's not technically inclined and put them in a tech role or tech function or tech capacity within the business, because all we do when we're not in our wealth roles is set ourselves up for frustration. Conversely, when we are in our wealth roles, we set ourselves up, us, the team, together as marriedpreneurs, because we take advantage of that. We put ourselves in the best positions to get the results that we are seeking to get.
Yeah. And you may be asking, okay, well, how do I know? Like, where do we start with this, right? Well, one of the things is to think about what are the obvious gifts, talents, graces, abilities that your spouse has. And oftentimes, it's going to be a lot easier for one spouse to see this in the other spouse.
Yes.
And then likewise. So you have a conversation. You start with the conversation. You know what you're really good at?
It's a way of taking inventory.
Yes.
Pointing out what we do have.
You're really good at, and then you fill that in, right? And that oftentimes what happens is we can overlook some successes from another season or another
job,
opportunity,
another role, another
that
position.
You just, like, the spouse may not even realize that, but then the other spouse says, wait a minute, in that role over there, you were crushing it, right? So you were crushing it over here. So surely you can use those same skills and crush it for us right here, right? And even if you're not in the same business, but being able to actually speak through that makes a huge difference, because then you have the understanding, at least to start to say, where are we going to focus, each of us, the primary task, the bulk of our time that we have in the business, even if you're doing it full time on the side, or however it may be, anything in between. You want to be able to know, where should I spend the majority of my time? And the majority of my time should be connected or directly connected to revenue generating activities. Because once you're focusing on revenue generating activities primarily, it changes the game.
Yeah, here's a thought. Revenue generating activities generate revenue. I know.
Was that the thought?
Heavy. I know. Let that sink in.
He just went real deep, y'all. Yes, but it's so seeming so basic, but at the same time, when you are building and you're in it, you don't understand that you can get caught up in all the things that have to get done in the business, and you're focused on all these things that yes need to get done, but as a result, when it's time for you to do the thing that you're really created to do, you don't have any more energy, or you don't have any more time, or you don't have either one. Right. And so being able to really understand where should I be focusing primarily, and it's not going to be, an immediate thing, right? Sometimes it may take a little time to transition, to put some more systems in place so you can automate, delegate, eliminate the things that you don't need to be doing, and really focusing on what we like to call your genius zone, or the area that makes the most sense for you, and doing it in the way that makes most sense for you, not in the way that makes the most sense for your spouse. Okay, because that's going to be totally different. So yes, I see you over here on Facebook. Focus on revenue generating activities. That is your primary focus when we're talking about building a business, and then it grows from there. And you want to have systems in place to help the other things that need to get done. Okay. With that being said, number 4 is, we talk about this all the time. We've said it before. We're going to say it again, and we're going to keep saying it.
Number 4 is all about your legacy meetings. And yes. This is the huddle that makes it go.
Listen, yes, these legacy meetings, it doesn't matter how long you have, but you want to daily. We're talking about, give yourself 5 days. I promise y'all, you give yourself 5 days of doing this together, connecting with each other. Okay, what's the goal for this week concerning with the business? What are our unique wealth roles? Okay, how can I support you in this? How can I support you in this? Okay, what systems do we need to have in place? What are we doing? Okay, and then what are we doing today that's going to help us reach this goal? If it's to create, bring in more clients, then what is that main focus going to be? How are we going to do that? What is that? Is that going to be via paid ads, or is it going to be organic traffic? Is it going to be online, or we're going to do it offline? Is it going to be, reaching out to those who are already on our email list? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And keeping it super simple so you can actually see the process and the progress. Okay. You have to, if you just do it, I promise you, I know sometimes people are like, well, it's not possible because he has this schedule and I have this schedule, and he's doing that and I'm doing this. And by the time we get up and listen, we all have the same 24 hours, but we all have different responsibilities. So it's about, how are we going to use that 24 hours in our day? Like, what do we need to do in order to see these results? Because at the end of the day, nothing's going to change until you change. Like, it just is what it is. And this is the part that really requires the willingness and the entrepreneurial mindset to say, okay, this is what we're going to focus on, and this is what we're going to do on a daily basis. I promise y'all, if y'all do it for 5 days, let us know. Hit us up in the comments or under the video, whatever. Let us know the results. Trust me, it will be amazing. But it will not come without distractions. It will not come without hurdles. It will not come without obstacles. Okay, because you're used to doing things one way, but when you dive into it, it makes a huge difference. Promise you. Okay. And you need to take this daily. This is the legacy meetings. This is like you taking steps daily. You're actually taking business steps daily. Like, you're actually making offers daily. You're actually talking to prospects daily. You're actually getting in front of them daily. You're actually doing the work. That just black and white, very simple in that way. Okay. Number 5, this is critical.
Number 5.
You do this daily too.
Number 5 is all about tracking.
Ooh.
Tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Tracking it's like 2 things. Tracking is like tracing your actions, and it is taking action. And really, you would take action and really trace your action. I remember when I was learning how to draw in elementary school, and they started us off with tracing. Before you just free stuff, they would give you sort of this outline or this image or this thing that you were to draw a picture, and they would tell us in our class, first trace it. And so we would just trace it. So I'm looking at what the thing is I'm supposed to draw, and then I would trace it. In business, the two of you establish what is your plan, and you're going through all these steps we're talking about. You're saying, okay, what is it we're going to accomplish? First thing you want to do is you want to trace it, right? So you want to spell it out, flesh it out as to what success will look like.
Yeah.
Does that look like 10 clients? Does that look like 4 clients? Does that look like whatever that is, right? You want to trace it. Then you want to take action on it. And that's like in the art class, and just an example just came to me, this analogy, and we're filling it in, and we're going in for those details, the eye, the nose, the chin, the so forth, all those details, and we're filling in what so we're taking action on what we traced out, and we don't go beyond what we trace, because it's like we're saying this is what success looks like. So we're not getting distracted, right? We're just tracing it, and we're filling it in, and that taking action, that tracing, and that taking is going to help you as you're tracking. It's like the monitoring of the progress.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like,
it's how we steward it.
Yeah. So we're managing it along the way.
Yeah. And as you're managing it, that means we are willing to tweak it along the way. So each day you're tracking and tracing. I say, give yourselves 5 days to do these 5 steps each day, to walk through them each day. I promise you, by the end of the week, you will not need to have all the answers in order to see results. You don't need all the things in order to move the needle in your business. But if you take these steps and you take advantage of you all being married entrepreneurs, and like for real, take it seriously and take these steps, do them daily, you will see results, and you won't have to wait to the end of the week. Because what will happen when you're tracing and tracking and all that during the week, you'll be able to say, oh, this is what went well. This is where people are coming from. Oh, that part, people, that didn't really resonate in the way that I expected. So let me tweak it. And you can't allow, disappointment, discouragement, all that stuff to set in. You have to be like, oh, there's a different way. Why? Because you have the entrepreneurial mindset. That goes back to point number 1. Okay, you're looking to solve a problem. And the first problem that you're looking to solve is to make sure that you are connecting and communicating with the people that you are here to serve in your business. That is the first thing. So you have to have that mindset of saying, okay, this is what we're called to do. Now, we may need to try it all these different ways, but you're not even going to know what's going to work really until you get into it and getting good to it. And 5 days is not even a long time. That's just like touching the tip of the iceberg. But what it does do is it gives you the momentum, it gives you the understanding, and then it gives you the data. It gives you the data to look back on to say, wait a minute, okay, 5 days, we did this straight, and this is what happened. Okay, so when we go into the next week, let's do this part again, but let's take this part out and let's focus in on here. Before y'all know it, you're going to see great, it just starts to build by itself, great momentum.
Let me ask this question.
What's the question?
How will we know where we got off track if we never had a track?
Ooh, that's a good question, husband.
It's only when we have a track that we can, when we go, as we're monitoring and tracking daily, we can say, oh, here's where I went off track.
Yeah, that's good.
But I can only know where I went off track if I had a track.
Come on. On that note, we're going to close this out. Also, for those of you who are wanting to do this, like you're going to commit, that's between you and your spouse. Go ahead and go for it. If anything, you have everything to gain, nothing to lose at all. So much to learn from this opportunity. I would say go through these 5 steps. What we're going to be doing in a few weeks, we just opened up the wait list too. So if you all are looking to have more insight and have more understanding of how to do it and do it together, we're going to be walking a small group of couples through a process like this to grow their business in literally 5 days. And that's going to be through our Love and Launch Grow Your Business Challenge. You can get on the wait list. The doors are not officially open yet, but they will be soon. You can get on the wait list over at loveandlaunchsecrets.com. If you're on Instagram, the link is in the bio. If you're on Facebook, we'll put it in the chat. In the comments right here. But Love and Launch Secrets is going to be amazing. Love and Launch secrets.com. That's where you're going to find the wait list for the Love and Launch Grow Your Business Challenge. It's for emerging marriedpreneurs. And so we know it's going to be phenomenal. If you enjoy this, you're going to be head over heels over having that time spent with those over 5 days just to walk you through a process to see those results guaranteed. Guarantee. You do the work, you will see the results. So we're looking forward to doing that with you all. The doors will be opening soon, but right now you can get on the wait list so you don't miss out on it. And until next time,
keep living
purposefully,
powerfully,
and profitably
in sync.
All right, in sync, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Peace out. We need some closeout music.
We do.
We need some closeout music. Yeah.